Let's go. Gang, highest in the room, yo, we get fucked up. Ay, you can count on Trey, can't bring the loud back. Ay, get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home run. Yeah, get the up or leave the fuck a Folgers. Little bitch, I made the beat and dropped the full verse. I just hit a steal, I got dripped up.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Canna Kuyas podcast. I'm Mitch Narito.
And I am Eric Esteban. And sitting next to me is one of my dearest, closest friends in comedy. But also, I just wanted to give her flowers on my podcast and congratulate her on her Comedy Central set and her comedy special, SMAM. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and Pinoys, welcome Miss Kalea McNeill.
Hey,
what's
going on? Okay, all right.
Okay.
Just in case.
But yes, hi, I'm here. Kalea.
Check it back in. As you can tell, folks, we might have smoked just a little bit.
We smoked a lot. Before,
Yeah.
and Kalea sampled the homegrown.
Yes, it was fantastic.
It
is fantastic. I finally have mellowed out a bit, but it was great. Like,
Yeah, we needed
it
a
took me
minute.
through a few different spectrums,
Okay.
but I liked it.
Spectrums. I like that word. That's good. Well, look, we could talk about my homegrown as all this podcast, but I want to talk about you.
Okay.
I want you to tell me, because I when I picked you up from the train to come over to the house, we were talking on and I stopped you from talking about your Comedy Central.
Right.
Because I wanted to save it for my reaction and your reaction and Mitch's reaction, because I before you start, we've been there since Buzzbees and drove together, did Laugh After Dark together.
Right.
We drove to Vegas together. We drove to what was it, Arizona. When we hang out for Big
We
Pine.
did. Yes, we
Big
did.
Pine. So
Yeah.
we've come up together, and I've watched your meteoric rise with your special SMAM, and we'll talk about all of that. But the first thing I want you to talk about is what happened Wednesday night and your Comedy Central set.
Well, Wednesday I shot a short set for a online series that Comedy Central has called Comedy Central Features.
Nice.
And there were 6 comics on my bill, and all very funny. Like it's a treat when you're on the show and you're just like, oh, thank God. Like, the audience has been good all night because the comics have been great all night. And I mean, of course, to get to that show, you would hope that everybody would be good. So, and they were. And it was such an amazing, I mean, it's very hard for me to put into words, even still. We're 2 days later, and I don't know that it's completely hit me yet. I was joking with a friend earlier that I was surprised that I hadn't cried yet. Because I'll cry in a heartbeat. As funny as I am, as sensitive as I can be, and I was very surprised that I just don't think it's hit me yet. I don't know if I have to wait for it to be cut and like posted at this point.
Does it not feel real, or it's just you don't understand like the significant, or like not understand, but like you haven't felt like that gravity yet? Like, I
think it was just another show.
Okay.
It was a show that was being taped. Now, I definitely understand the gravity behind it. I get that 1,000%. And I felt that in the moment. Mm-hmm. But once it was over, it was like, okay. The day after, I was riding that high yesterday. And now it's like, all right, it's like valleys. Like when you shoot a special, it's like you shoot your special and like you're so lit because you shot it a couple days later, like it's so exciting. And then it's nothing until the special comes out. Yeah. And then once the special comes out, it's like we're taking off again. So it's like I'm in that weird limbo of I shot Comedy Central. It was so much fun. And now I'm just waiting because I'm just like, it's almost like a big secret. It's between me and like 150 people. Me and the audience. Mm-hmm. And the Comedy Central execs know exactly what happened that night. And they know how great it was. And it's our secret until they decide to share it with the world. And I'm a very funny comedian, and I say this not in a bragatory way, but while I was on stage, I knew that I was having the best set that I had ever had. And that's saying a lot if you're familiar with some of my comedy. So, especially for me to say, I will kill a show and be like, it was cool. And the audience, oh my God, da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, but I hold myself, because I only compete against myself. So I kind of hold myself to a different, I'm like, if this wasn't better than my last show, so this was all right. Like, I have a show tonight. I'm doing Don't Tell tonight. And if tonight's Don't Tell is not better than Comedy Central, then the audience is going to have a good time regardless. But in my head, I'm like, okay, why didn't I use that punch? Why did I'm immediately going back to dissecting it. And
back to the drawing board.
Back to the game tape.
Yeah.
Back to the game tape.
Yeah.
For me, that's all every footage of every set is game tape. But I knew, just because we go back to the, almost, bringer show days. That when you say in your caption of your pictures from that night at Comedy Central that was the best set of your life. That you saying something. You're saying something different. Because you're not normally like that. Like it
was set up to be amazing. I mean, we were in this space called the Lodge Room in Highland Park, and it's a traditional stage type. You feel me? Like coming from behind the curtains, coming from the wings. And when the host said my name, that audience was loud. You would have thought it was the end of my set. They were so loud. And I remember it reminded me of Smam. Because when I was introduced to the audience for Smam, people were losing it. But again, they were there for my special.
I was one of them.
So there was that.
I was one of them audience
to
screaming
stand on
like
this
that.
stage, and I knew like maybe 15 people that were there. I didn't know all these people.
Yeah.
But the moment Comedy Central announced us, these people like started looking us up and finding things and this and that. Like there was a moment in my head while they were cheering for me where I said to myself, I'm really like, okay, Kalea, you have to talk now or they're not going to stop. You have to start talking.
It's your moment.
So that they will stop.
So awesome.
And I'm just like, hey, how's everybody? And then finally it was like, okay, now let's go. And it was just, every punch up that I had added over the times of telling these few jokes worked. I had up to some punches that I added that morning.
Nice.
Worked, and it was just.
I love that shit when it's
great.
like that same.
When
day
the world
punch
sees
up.
this, it's gonna be nuts.
I can't
even
wait.
once they clip it up, because I gave so much. The clips are gonna be insane. They're gonna be insane.
Man, that's dope. Like,
and guys, just so we're clear. Canna Kuyas Podcast Episode 4. Episode 3, we brought you Keith Pedro, Juno Award nominated. Now you got Kalea McNeill. Because you brought up spam.
Spam.
Spam. I'm Filipino. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, but
food on the brain.
You brought up spam, and I was lucky enough to be at the second.
Yes,
tape.
the second taping. Yeah.
And I was so proud of you then. That. If you guys don't understand, you got to go on Amazon Prime. Is that your preferred?
Yeah,
Amazon
yes.
Prime. Go on Amazon Prime and purchase your viewing of Smam, because you will not regret watching Kalea McNeill's first special, Smam. It is.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm so close to you that it's almost hard for me to even give you a critique on it. But I remember when I watched your special, because we've come up together, and I was almost like you had done your special, and then 4x3 approached me to do my special. And after watching your special, I was like, okay, I think maybe I can figure out how to do this. Because, like I said to you when you came to the house, and when I was in the car with you, you're like a trailblazer. For all of the people that you came up with, because you're like showing us that it's possible. You know what I'm saying? Like you keep to your ground, like you said. You telling those same jokes that you were telling, but you tagging them in the morning, the same morning, and it's just it's really cool to see, and it's also really cool to be a little bit connected to the fact that like I said, you're an example for all of us. To show that it's possible, and I've never thanked you for that in person, but thank you, because I wouldn't have been able to do Miscellaneous Brown had I not watched you do Spam Spam first.
He said spam again.
Yeah.
I said
You
spam.
did.
No, literally, there's a can of spam in the background. I'm sorry, but you know, and also my peas are fucked up. You know, I'm Filipino. But
Hold on. Let's redirect because we're rattling off of like all of Kalea's achievements and like what she's accomplished. But for a lot of people that are just tuning in for the first time and picking stuff up, we gotta run it back a little bit because well, first off, you're on the Canna Kuyas podcast and you are our first official marijuana ate.
Marijuana ate. Okay, and what is a marijuana ate?
So in Tagalog, kuya is a term of respect for an older brother.
Okay.
And ate would be a term of respect for an older sister. So you would be our ate Kalea.
Ate Kalea. I'm with that.
Yeah.
And how is that? How do you spell ate?
ATE, like 8.
Okay. Ate Kalea.
Yeah. So marijuana
and
ate.
obviously, you came up with Filipinos in Northern California when you were growing up.
Yes.
So you almost honorary Filipino anyway.
Filipino.
Yeah. So
Thank you, bro. By the way, because I got carried away being a fanboy of my friend.
No, that's all good. Like I love it.
But thank you for bringing us back to the Canna Kuyas podcast.
We gotta
this is why this motherfucker is my co-host, is because he holds it down. I gotta say, thank you again.
highly functional pothead.
You know,
so
let's go.
Eric is very excited.
I'm excited.
Like,
I told you, I'm used to this weed. I am not at all.
Is this weed now? Is this
because you're giving cocaine?
Yeah, you're giving cocaine vibes.
I told y'all, weed slows me down. Could you imagine what I would be on cocaine?
Choo-choo train. Anyways,
mercy.
Kalea.
Yes.
So
like, bitch and I are both like, you all right, bro?
Yeah. No, we good.
I'm just excited to have all y'all here in my house.
But no, like, so Kalea, like, where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what's your history with weed? You know?
Yeah, I'm from the Bay Area. I grew up in Fairfield, California, home of the Jelly Belly factory. I don't want to brag.
Where's Fairfield in relation to like?
Fairfield is right next to Vallejo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's considered, I would call it either, depending on the direction you're driving, it's either the last city in the Bay or the first.
Gotcha.
Depending on where you're coming from. Kind of in between San Francisco and Sac.
Okay.
About
cool.
good 45, but 45 from Sac, about 30 from San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I grew up. What was the other question?
Like,
what's your history with weed? Like, what was it? Describe your first experience.
Well, you said tell me about myself.
Well, yeah. Like, before we get into that.
Okay.
So you're from the Bay.
From the Bay Area.
And you're a stand-up comic.
I am an actor who does a very good job at stand-up comedy.
There we go. See, like,
and I say that specifically because that's always been the dream. That's always the goal. Ever since I was younger, I always wanted to be a comedic actor, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting saying that now because it's like if I had the foresight, I would have known. But the people that I looked up to growing up, of course, we know now that they were stand-up comics talking about like Whoopi Goldberg, Martin Lawrence, people like that. Mm-hmm. But, back in 1995, they weren't doing stand-up. They were comedic movie stars.
Yeah, you almost had to study them to know that they had
so, and I mean, if I'm not studying Martin at 6 years old, I'm looking at what I'm looking at.
You're enjoying.
That's what I'm taking it as, and I'm like, I want to do that. I'm watching Sister Act, and I'm like, I want to do that. I'm not looking at Whoopi Goldberg's one-woman show. I'm 8. Like, no, I'm watching Sister Act with my mom, and I'm like, that shit is lit.
That's one of my top 10, though. Like, Sister Act, like the first one.
With Sister Act or Sister Act 2?
They're both amazing.
Because I prefer Sister Act 2. That's just me.
But this is the thing is, you say that, but go back and watch Sister Act.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people like to say that they prefer Sister Act 2 because Sister Act 2 is lit.
And it's Lauryn Hill.
When you go back and watch Sister Act,
okay, I will do that. I will go back and watch
Sister Act. It's something else because it's setting all that up.
Okay,
it's setting everything up. Dolores Van Cartier.
Now we're picturing 8-year-old Kalea watching Sister Act. What else?
And that gave me complex feelings about nuns when I was little. Because, like, there was the very cute one, like... You know
Did you go to
the little
public
mousy
school
one.
or
I was surprised. We didn't have nuns like that. All our nuns at our school were like old crones. You know,
I had nuns.
Okay, you didn't have any.
No, it was like none of the like the younger nuns, or I don't know, like the ones.
No,
they
we
haven't
had
found
nuns
God
that
yet.
would still hit us. Like I got hit with a ruler twice in 7th grade.
Oh, dude, I got.
Sister Carmelita, I remember that bitch.
Are we sharing?
Anyway. No. Anyway,
Are we sharing childhood traumas?
We could go on a tangent on some nuns. So let Kalea tell her background.
I went to school for theater.
Okay.
Clark Atlanta University. Graduated with a BA in theater. And again, stand up was never a thing. I was always the funny girl. Class clown in high school, even in middle school. Now, one thing which is interesting is when I was in college, is when I first started hosting. So I would host a lot of like events and parties and step shows and like all these types of things, not realizing, of course, again, if I had the foresight, when I look back at it now, it's like, well, I was honing that skill of improvisation, of stage presence, of not being afraid to be on the microphone, of if something happens, you need to jump on it right now and figure out what you're going to do because the show must go on.
So, yeah, if someone was like, oh, we need someone to do this, you just be like, oh.
I got you. Right. All
and
those
you
things
also have a theater
kind of
degree, so it's like double.
To learn through stand-up. I didn't have to learn those through stand-up. So when I first started doing stand-up, I wasn't trying to overcome the audience. That was an issue. It was like, how do I make sure that what I'm saying is funny?
Yeah.
Like, that was really it.
Yeah.
But even with that, it was... because people would always come to me and say, oh, you should do stand-up. You should do stand-up. And because it wasn't something that I grew up... studying. Now, I watched Comic View just like everybody else and this and that, but I didn't grow up studying stand-up the way I know Sister Act word for word. I know every Whoopi Goldberg movie.
Jumpin' Jack
word
Flash.
for word.
Jumpin' Jack Flash. I love that movie.
That's
that was a great movie.
And I've studied this woman.
Yeah.
I damn near know episodes of The View. I studied Whoopi Goldberg. You understand me? Like, all I need is a Ted Danson, and then I'm taking off from there.
Ted Dance.
Shout out to
Pun
Ted.
intended.
Shout out to Ted.
See, look at all the celebrities I'm standing with. Oh my God!
But people would always say that to me, and what it was is when I graduated from Clark Atlanta, the following year, the second year out of school, I started working for Royal Caribbean. I was a DJ and a party host on the ship. Had a great time. And while I was on the ship, I saw a lot of comedians coming in and out. And I'm like, they weren't funny. Or they were all right. Or it was this, or it was that. And I'm like, how the hell are they getting to travel the world for a living? And they're not even good at this shit.
I'm saying, yeah.
And they're getting away with it because these people don't even know what the fuck they're saying.
They don't know what funny is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in my head, kind of, thinking about it. But, I still let that fall by the wayside. And then when I got back to Atlanta and I decided not to go back to the ship, this was 2012, and a friend of mine, said I should try it. And there's a comedy club in Atlanta called The Laughing Skull. And I did a night there. And even back then, I was writing my jokes the way that you would write a script. I didn't know how to write a joke. So, I knew what my joke was.
Interior comedy club?
I'm writing it I'm talking about, dialogue, word for word.
Yeah. No, just how people talk.
Yeah, everything. And, if I'm on stage and I miss it, I feel like I messed up my line or something like that.
Yeah.
So I did that back in 2012. I did one show, and I was like, okay, cool. I tried stand up. Now I'm moving to LA, and I'm going to pursue what I'm really here for. And I was here for a couple years. Ran into someone that used to work for Def Comedy Jam randomly at my job, and he was hosting shows at the Comedy Union at the time, which was one of the first black-owned comedy clubs in the country. And he was hosting shows at the Comedy Union. And every first and third Thursday, and he told me that I could open the shows for him if I sold tickets. Of course, he just wanted his tickets sold.
Yeah.
But I've always been business minded. So
what was the deal?
You saw it as an opportunity to do
stand-up. When I looked at these tickets, there were 10 tickets he would give me, and there wasn't a price tag. I said, "How much do you need back for these tickets?" He said, $100. So I sold the tickets for $20 each.
Yeah.
And if there were some weeks that I didn't sell them, he still got his 100.
Yeah.
And then I was on Facebook hey, I got free tickets to a show. Okay. If anybody wants to come to a show, did what I had to do.
So you filled up, you were consistent.
You just made sure, and you made sure that the person who gave you your opportunity needed what he had to have.
But even then, it was comedy was still just, okay, cool, that's something that I do, but I'm still an actor.
So it was pretty much a reason to be social and drink,
right?
Party.
But also almost a little creative. Because I know for me, when I was first starting out stand up, it was just like a creative outlet,
right? To just something to do, just to be creative.
Exactly.
And it got to the point. I remember I was working at Enterprise at the time. I was a manager in the Hollywood area, and I had a contract with the CBS lot. And at the time, we were supplying cars for Dancing with the Stars. And I remember delivering cars, and every time I would get on the lot, I would be sick to my stomach about leaving and going back to Enterprise.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that feeling.
And I'm like, I am literally on the lot.
Every time I'm on the lot, it's the same thing.
And I'm going back to Enterprise. This sucks. Oh, and I was making good money.
Oh, for sure. Money doesn't matter.
It didn't.
It doesn't matter.
Then it got to the point where every morning I'm starting to get sick. Going to work.
Like literally physically sick. Wow.
So this was 2017. I took 2016, and that entire year I saved up like most of my paychecks. Like Rolo probably ate better than I did. My dog probably ate better than I did that year. I saved up everything because I knew the next year I was quitting.
Okay.
And I'm like, I have to give this all to acting, and this is what, because remember I told you I didn't. The things that are happening now with stand up could have been happening with me 6 years ago if I gave a fuck. 6 years ago, acting was my focus. I mean, it still is, but
still is.
I was nervous because I've always been talented with stand up. I was nervous that I would get to the point where now I can't act because I'm doing stand up, and I don't ever want to get to that point.
Because in this town you have to be careful of what you end up getting famous for, because then people think you can only do one thing.
And that's it. And so when I quit my job, it was like, okay, acting is gonna pay the bills. I was like, well, no, I got to book first, right?
Yeah.
I was like, so let me just do a bunch of little stand up shows.
Yeah, just
$100 here, $100 there, and that'll pay the bills, and I'll be fine. And mind you, that prior year I had saved up all that money, so I had like a reserve, but you don't want to run out. And that's kind of how it all began. A couple months later is when I booked my first role, which was on Animal Kingdom. About a month or two after that, I booked Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which was supposed to be just a one-off, one day, start, work, finish. They wrote me into 4 more episodes.
Nice.
And then the train started rolling.
You were on Orange is the New Black too, weren't you?
No. So this is what's funny. The season that I did of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, my character was in jail.
Okay,
this was also the final season of Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
So when I posted, because she was only in jail for one episode. She got out, and then that's when they wrote her into the rest of it. But when I posted that, everybody was like, "Oh my god!" Because a woman in a jumpsuit in 2018 meant that you were on Orange is the New Black, and I'm like, no, like there's other jails, nigga. I'm not on Orange. I would love it, but I was not on Orange is the New Black.
So then I just made that same mistake.
Well, no, I did a show not too long ago, and like they introduced me like that. They were like, "You've seen her on Orange is the New Black," and I'm like, "I am not Poussey. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You have not seen me on Orange is the New Black." Goddamn.
And I'm your friend, and I made that mistake.
Golly, no, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Because I keep seeing the damn things.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, go ahead.
So
and how I got my start with weed.
Yeah. So
yes.
like, how does this like? Okay,
Thank you.
Did you grow up with it? Was it around when you were a kid? Like let us.
So both of my parents work for the Department of Corrections. My mother is was a correctional counselor. My dad was a correctional officer, and he worked in paroles. So no, I did not grow up with weed in the home.
Okay.
It was never really an interest of mine. I didn't grow up around that kind of. Fairfield, especially at that time, was just kind of like a corny little nerd city. Like, you didn't tell people you were from Fairfield because you immediately got clowned on. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was checking for Fairfield.
Yeah.
It's funny because I do a joke when I go home about that, because now that the Bay Area, the heart of the Bay has gotten so much more expensive, a lot of people have moved out to those areas. And I'm like, nigga, you can say you from Fairfield now. I was there pre-meth.
Pre-meth.
But
there's an actual date for that.
Yeah, I want to say probably the first time I smoked weed was like I guess anybody else, a couple times in high school, like dumb shit, but not like I wasn't a weed smoker.
Okay.
How old, like, roughly?
I would say maybe 16.
Okay.
And then I was cool off of it because I was an athlete too, so I was kind of cool off of it for a little bit. And then when I got to college, I wasn't really stressing it, and it wasn't until my sophomore year of college that I probably started smoking a little bit more consistently because I was dating somebody who smoked a lot at the time.
Okay.
But I was also still an athlete, so I still had to be just very careful with about how I smoked if we got tested, because you're talking about NCAA rules at that point. They don't fuck around. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of dabbling socially in college. Definitely socially. I mean, frequent, but socially. And then, you know, it's interesting when you look at the times that we're in now, because I stayed in Georgia another 4 years after college, and Georgia there was no recreational, there wasn't medical, there wasn't anything. So, I mean, when I was smoking weed in college, even after college, it was texting the guy and hoping he pulls up when he says he's going to pull up. You're not asking what he has, you're just asking for some weed. You know what I mean?
How much would they charge you just for kids?
I mean, if I could even remember, I was probably you gotta understand, like, my language wasn't even I'm buying an eighth. It was I'm getting a dub. I'll get a dub.
Oh, okay.
So I'd be buying a dub, or I'd buy 2 dubs, or I'd buy 3 dubs. Like, and I knew what a dub would look like in the bag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
like, but it's not like
that shit. Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm buying an eighth. Like, I wasn't using that language.
So how much? Okay. So like, let's say you bought like a dub.
Yeah.
Like, how much would that be? Like $20?
Yeah, that would be about $20.
Okay.
Of some Reggie. You know, you think you were smoking good weed because that's the weed you were smoking.
That's all you had. Yeah.
That was the weed you had access to.
And you know, so it was just kind of like it was what it was. But it wasn't until I got smart with how I started smoking when I got that job with Mary Jane, and I started doing the podcast with Snoop, because that's when I started learning about strains and, you know, uppers and downers, and just the true, like, what a true sativa is, what a true indica is, what a true hybrid is, and just all these different things. So even now, it's like when I smoke,
I'm sorry.
Second time.
It rings on my fucking laptop. It rings on, you know, we're going to leave this shit in because I'm a fucking dumbass.
We're growing in the new year, just
this
like
is
everybody
episode
else,
4, y'all, okay?
so.
We're still working out our
We're still
technical...
working on keeping our phones on silent. You learned that in church.
No, my phone is silent. My phone is silent.
Learning this.
Kalea, my phone is silent, but I can't figure...
What do you mean? Everywhere you go, that is an important place as an adult.
Wait.
You have to turn your phone on
but
silent.
It rings on my fucking
your
laptop.
Phone gotta be on silent. In church, phone on silent. Movie theater, please put your phone on silent.
Kalea.
Everywhere we go as an adult. To the point where if I were to lose my phone, like, bitch, it's gone. Because call it for what? It's on silent.
But
unless it's dark, it's here and it's gonna light up.
It rings on my laptop.
Laptop on silent. Everybody, that's
I don't know how to...
That's a phone with a keyboard.
I'm 50 years old. I don't know how to put my laptop on silent. Anyway, let's go. Okay.
Silencio, por favor.
I don't know how to put the...
It's all good. It's all
good.
Can
you figure out how to turn the fucking ringer?
We're
keeping the whole thing.
It's in
We're
there.
keeping the whole thing in there. No editing.
Anyway,
all live.
Okay, run it back. So we got...
I knew this shit was going to be funny as hell.
Everywhere you go as an adult. Listen, your phone on silent.
I don't know how to
like, to the
my
point where, low-key,
laptop.
tell me if I'm wrong or not. When you're out in public, if somebody's phone rings out loud, don't you be like...
Well, it depends.
Like, you could even be in the grocery store, like, what, nigga, why is your phone loud?
Hey, no, but if they got like a fire song though, like, and it rings, I'm just like,
okay,
right.
you know what? Now it's my mom calling me again.
Probably find a ringtone.
Now, hey, can we pause this shit? My mom's calling me double time, so I'm gonna figure out maybe something's wrong. Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
Hello. What's up, Dad?
I'm gonna just let it keep running. You and I can talk.
Yeah.
So, okay. So Eric has gone to handle some family business, and while he does, I'll shoulder the load on my own. But anyway, so this is post college, like after college, you
the podcast with Snoop.
Yeah, you. So
yeah,
how
this was like 2018.
So how'd you get involved in that?
Okay, so I did this show in Venice. What was it called? It was called Higher Education.
Okay.
And it was this show was so fucking dope. I just wish they had.
Is it still going on?
But it was called Higher Education, and I did it a few times. But they were at this spot in Venice, and it was like this game show slash like it was, the set was like a classroom, and they had 3 contestants, and they had the teacher who was like the game show guy or whatever, and they were playing like weed games, and like they were like a Jeopardy type of games and things like that, and then the show ended with a musical artist and a comedian, and so I was doing comedy at it, and these guys approached me afterwards. Noah Rubin, shout out to Noah, and Mike Viney, shout out to Mike, who are executives over at Mary Jane, and they were like, oh, would you like to do some comedy at Mary Jane, or da-da-da-da, which turned into me then being the co-host, or being interviewed, excuse me, because at the time I was actively shooting Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and I was shooting Laugh Mob Laugh Tracks.
So it was a hot time for Kalea.
Right, yeah, 2018 to 2020, literally.
Yeah, it was a busy time for a lot of people.
It was everything.
Nice.
And so I went on Noah's podcast on Mary Jane, which was called About That Time, as a guest. And we just remained in contact after that.
I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh,
for little one-offs. Like,
look at my girl do this stuff. Oh, it's so awesome.
They had, it's Snoop's company, so they had all the connections with everybody. So it's like, if Kiva needed a ad, oh, Kalea, can you come do this edible ad for Kiva real quick? So they were just constantly calling me for shit like that.
Just pumping them out.
And then Noah approached me and asked how I felt about co-hosting with him. And I jumped on it, and the first day we went to a taping of Martha and Snoop, and that's when I got to meet Snoop and talk to him about the podcast. And
did you meet Martha too?
Yeah. Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
So wait, you've met? I don't know if you ever told me that you met both Martha and Snoop.
Yeah, that was my first
initially
day on the job.
Wow.
Was me meeting them. And then I would cover, because Snoop has this thing called GGL, the Gangsta Gaming League, and I would cover the GGL at his compound over there in Inglewood by the airport. And I mean, he's cool. I mean, he's
Snoop.
He's an amazing person.
He's Snoop.
And everyone that I met through Mary Jane to this day, just great people. But yeah, that's how I learned the art of smoking weed. Like, I'm not smoking weed just to be stuck on the couch all day. Like, if I'm writing, I have something that I'm going to smoke. If I want to chill out, watch a movie, I have something that I'm going to smoke. If I'm right about to hit the stage, something that's going to, kind of get me there real quick.
So it's cool that you say that, because going into the next thing, like, in terms of your creative process, in terms of how you do whatever you do, like whether it's writing, it's acting, how does weed play a part in that?
I do smoke while I write.
Okay.
I don't have to, but if I'm sitting down with intention to write, then yes.
What does it do? Does it give you focus? Or?
Focus.
Okay.
Focus. Nothing else exists except for this one thought. I hate that. I was gonna say something, but I don't know if it's gonna sound bad, so I don't want to say it.
Say it. It's up to you.
Well, I was gonna say, like, it gives me, like, it makes me autistic. I'm just thinking about this one thing right now, because that's what I'm focused on.
What I say, because we've talked about,
it gives me an autistic moment.
Well, and for me, it's almost the reverse of it, because I feel like because I have ADHD. I was diagnosed from my mom, and so what weed does for me, it's similar to your description of it, where it focuses me. It slows down my thoughts just enough to be able to focus.
Then I'm gonna pick up the strain that does that for me.
Correct. Yeah.
So that I can focus for that moment. And that's not even me smoking. I'm not going to smoke a whole joint. That's me taking a few puffs because I'm only using it for that. Like, my writing joint can last me like 4 or 5 days. Okay. Because I pick it up, I light it, puff it a couple times.
And my writing joint lasts me 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
That's stupid.
Is there... So for your stuff, like... When it comes to smoking, like, what's your preferred way? It's just joints?
Yes. I don't smoke blunts anymore. I haven't smoked blunts in a while, and it's to the point, like, if I'm given one, it doesn't even taste the same. Like, because I smoke really good weed, I want to taste it. I don't want to taste the blunt.
Are you the type that has, like, favorite strains or anything like that?
I love a glue. I love glues and glues adjacent, Gorilla Glues, things of that nature. That I always kind of lean towards that. I like an OG,
so a little heavier.
Yeah, a little heavier. Okay. I like that. Preferred method is gonna be smoking a joint, and I learned, kind of from Snoop, which was why I was kind of glad we did that when we got here. to be honest. And we're all too grown. We don't you don't need to be sharing blunts with everybody.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We're all too we're all grown enough where like we can bring our own weed. You feel me? Like every now and then, like I might pass a blunt to the homie, but it's like, or I mean a joint. I say blunt just because that's the terminology, but I mean a joint. I may pass a joint to the homie, but you know I'm very much so coming with my joint rolled up for me.
I mean, and for Mitch and I, like now that I'm growing, I got enough to where I'm not trying to share weed with anybody because COVID, yo. I'm just being. I'm not trying to, or any kind of germ. I'm not trying to get the flu. I'm not trying to get any kind of sickness from them. They're snorting up whatever they're snorting.
Because I'm the type that gets mad. Like if you got me sick, I'm gonna want to fight you.
I'm the same way because I don't get sick. No, because I don't get sick. But when I do get sick,
you knew it. You knew this.
When I do get sick, I know where it came from because I don't normally get sick. So when I do get sick, I get mad because I'm like, the fuck, dog, no. So that's why ever since COVID, man, I don't share joints anymore at all.
It's interesting that you say that because like we've had another person last week and like the trend is like blunts are not as popular as they used to be anymore. Like people just stop or like it's on the decline.
I mean, people are also trying to be healthier. Like you can't say I don't smoke cigarettes and then smoke a
blunt,
tobacco wrapped blunt.
Correct.
Like, make it make sense. Like bitch, you smoke cigarettes.
You do.
It's in your shit
because you're still
like no thank you. You're giving me headache.
Shout out to Keith Pedro who was on our last episode. He talked about how there's these cannabis comedy circuit shows, but even in the venues that they had them, they weren't allowed to bring in blunts because it was technically smoking tobacco.
I just had a wild comment.
What'd they say?
It said, I never liked women, but something about you makes me want to try. What's good?
Hey! Shout out to whoever said that comment.
Could I?
You couldn't, because I was like, oh, Kalea read something nice on her comments.
It's all good.
So it's just some positivity. Keep spreading it, people.
Hey.
Keep spreading it.
Yo, comment, like, and subscribe, yo.
If you want to get at Kalea, what's your @, Kalea?
At whatever Kalea. I mean, this person knows my @
They're already on your @ They @ where you @
Yes.
So we're talking about weed. We're talking about your preferred strains,
right?
And I stopped you from describing and talking about the homegrown that you smoked before we started. And I now would like because now now everybody who's listening has your weed credentials. You're Snoop's co-host and you smoke weed with Snoop and Martha. I mean, you
and Martha?
Well, no, I didn't smoke with Martha.
Okay. Well, but you smoked with Snoop.
I did eat Martha's food.
And so there you go. So you never know.
Food, y'all.
Her foot. She's into that.
Whatever you did something with Martha Stewart and Snoop. And you was in a room with so that right there gives you legendary weed status.
Your weed, what was the name of this?
It's Gelato 33, the Larry Bird
relax
cut.
with all that. Relax with all that.
The Larry Bird cut.
Relax with all that.
The Larry Bird cut.
I hate this. This is the one thing.
Oh no, he told me about this bullshit. Don't worry, me and you are on the same wavelength with the Lakers.
Yeah, thank you.
But Gelato 33.
It was okay. So I'm gonna give it like the Iron Chef original. Like I'm giving you a real deal. Like
I love it. Thank you,
Chef Morimoto. You understand me? Upon first burn,
Let's get nerdy with it.
I'm like, okay. Went down smooth. Did not burn my throat, and it was a keef wrapped joint. And I was hitting it pretty hard. No, I noticed when I was hitting the joint, no coughing, none of that. Then when I ingested it via the bong, it hit hard. The bong hit hard. I remember coughing, but it wasn't that dry, I need some water right now, my chest hurts. It was just, they're smoking your lungs and you're coughing. And it was a very clean... It was a clean choke.
Okay, that was like
no
the THC crystals.
To Jonathan Majors.
Oh no!
It was a clean choke.
And you didn't have to run away from nobody.
I didn't run at all.
You didn't run at all.
I did not run.
But did it make you feel like Coretta?
So
I'm just kidding. I mean, we're going to Jonathan Major.
Oh, man.
No, you gotta stop. I'm sorry. I just sanded the Coretta. I'm sorry about that.
It's Black History Month. Ooh, now they mad at me. You'll be all right.
All right.
You said don't hit the table.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh my God.
It's okay.
He said don't do this. I've done everything that they said don't, except my phone has been on silent, and that's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. You hear me?
And for all you comedy writers out there, that's called the callback.
Once the high hit me, it was heavy, but I was still present.
Oh, I was remember you were right there.
And then it took me on a ride. Like when we left and went to 7-Eleven, it turned into a head high once I got moving a little bit. Because you asked me something at 7-Eleven. I was like, please don't talk to me right now. Just let me sit in whatever's happening right now. And it was also my first joint of the day, so this was accurate.
You saved it up for the... Yeah.
Had to.
It's like when you go to the buffet. Like, before you go to the buffet, you don't eat anything.
Don't eat nothing.
Just purge. Or not purge. Fucking,
well,
like, I'm bulimic now. I'm No.
I got what he meant. We got it.
And know that there's another 2 for you for tonight after you to celebrate.
Well, I'm not gonna be able to smoke 2 of those tonight.
Well, whatever you'll have 2 more.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry because if you had you come earlier in the month, Mitch and I had smoked 2 jars of that gelato already.
And just a disclaimer: we don't encourage anyone under 18 partaking in anything legal
or illegal,
illegal in any state.
Yes, exactly. But it's all for medical research purposes. Okay, so anyway, but I'm really happy that makes me really happy that you enjoyed my weed because I'm gonna say we've shared a lot of weed together just in our comedy travels.
We have,
and I've never heard you say a higher sentence than when you said to me. You looked at me and you're like. And your eyes were pretty glazed, and you
glassy.
You said what you said. Can you just say it for everybody? Because I don't even know. I want to say it.
Remember?
Yeah, that was like 30 minutes ago.
You said
like in weed time.
I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna say exactly how you said it. You said, "That's really good weed, my G."
Oh yeah.
But you said it in such a way where I was like. I don't know that I've ever been higher with Kalea than at this moment.
And I tried to tap into your Chicago culture, which is why I called you G.
I appreciate that, and that's why it rang so.
Yeah.
It rang so meaningful for me when you said it. That's why.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
So Kalea, so Grammy nominated or
okay. So the term is Grammy considered.
Considered,
and
okay.
this is why that is the term. So the Grammys, much like with the SAG Awards, we only have like really one round of voting, and then after we vote, that is who is on the ballot.
Okay.
The Grammys have multiple rounds of voting. Smam, the album, made it through the first round of Grammy voting. So I was on the voting ballot. I made it through the first round of the voting ballot, and so that was that. So I was Grammy considered, which is great. Because I never even wanted Smam to be an album in the first place when Laugh After Dark approached me, because I think a lot of my comedy is very visual. I didn't know how it would translate audibly. Mm-hmm. But I thank y'all because it's translating well, because your girl been getting royalties for about 7-8 months off that shit.
Hell yes.
So thank you for that.
Yes.
But yeah, it made it to the first round for Grammy consideration. So it was just awesome to see that, you're on the list with literally
if they wanted to hear the album, where can they go? They can still hear it right
absolutely now, the Smam the album is available literally anywhere you listen to music. Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and Spotify, everywhere.
And this SMAM?
SMAAM. Just
Smam.
like it's ma'am with an S in front.
All right. Not spam like my
has
co-host
nothing to do with what Eric.
You are on a Filipino podcast, for goodness sakes.
No. So yeah, okay, so Grammy considered.
Correct.
You just got your Comedy Central special in the can.
I taped the comedy special short,
bunch of shows lined up for you. Considered like continued success and everything. But what's next? Well, like what's on the docket?
Some things that I'm excited about that I will announce via my socials when they can be announced. And
what are your socials, by the way? Say it so everybody knows.
I'm at Whatever Kalea everywhere to keep it easy. On Facebook, I'm Kalea Funny. Everywhere else is Whatever Kalea. That would be Facebook. That would be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
And are you on TikTok? I remember you were hesitant.
I hate TikTok. I
So
never
do I.
wanted
I don't
to be
really-
on TikTok. I never wanted to add another social media site to my phone. But what happened was a clip from Smam went viral on TikTok. I have a joke called the new Jim Crow. And that went viral on TikTok for obvious reasons.
It's a hilarious joke.
2 million views in a day. And Laugh After Dark called me and they're like, you need to get on TikTok now. And so I went on there because someone had already in that time frame made a fake one.
Yeah.
So I had to make one, and I literally took 10 hours that day and responded to every single comment to let them know where my TikTok was and where to find me. And so, but when I tell you I only post on TikTok, I don't scroll through TikTok. I'm not making TikToks. I cut my clips, I put them on TikTok, and I get the fuck off TikTok.
Yeah.
I hate TikTok. I hate it.
You and Mitch
I'm
are the
not
same.
doing this.
Oh no, man, no, I'm not.
I don't dance.
I don't like it. I shout out to it for what it is.
Sure.
But I'm cool.
It's not your vibe. It's all good.
Yeah, no, like I don't know.
Because Mitch
To
and
the
you are
point,
the
like
same.
every other day when I'm posting to TikTok, I'm just like, get it over with.
I already feel bad enough about myself as is, like
Yeah.
without having to go to social media and seeing other people
but you
rub
know
it in
what?
my face.
I will say that part of, because we were talking about specials and the aftermath and aftermath of your Comedy Central and how you're kind of in between waiting period
until it drops, right?
and that was when I started growing.
Right.
It was after Miscellaneous Brown was filming and in the can, and I was waiting for it to
Well,
edit.
as you should, because this is the time. Is because, for instance, when I was waiting for Spam to drop, I'm continuing to tour with Spam, and then when Spam drops, you still got to tour with it a little bit. It's like now when I'm on the road, like if I'm doing a 45, 50-minute set, you're getting 30 to 35 minutes of new material, and I might do 2 hots from Spam, things that are really popular. 'Cause
Sure.
people do come wanting. There are classic jokes that people do want to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I may do that, and then I'm out of there. But in this, like for instance, in the in between time of I shot Comedy Central on Wednesday, and until they cut and edited and dropped the set, I am perfecting those jokes, punching those jokes up even more, so that the bookings that are going to come the day that shit drops,
Right.
I have to be
You're
ready
ready
to hit the ground running, and even with new stuff, because like they booked you because of what they saw. So what's else? Like I always say, comedy and music are like very similar but opposite, in the sense of it's similar because you get the immediate feedback because you're right in front of the people. You get that, this and that. But when for instance, I'm going back to San Diego and Arizona this month. I've been
Mic drop?
I've been to Mic Drop San Diego multiple times. I've been
Yeah.
to Mic Drop in Arizona a few times. My picture is up in the Arizona Club.
I remember when I saw that. It was the best.
If I have repeat customers, which I will, I have customers now who, or supporters now, who come to every single show that I do in San Diego.
That's awesome.
And not that they would mind, but it would not sit well with me for me to go down there on the 22nd and give them the show that they've already seen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So
Yeah.
I have to keep it fresh and I have to keep it new.
Yeah. No, I feel you. That's exactly... Because, the only place where I can really headline, to be honest, is Chicago. It's my hometown. And I'm not trying to do... I'm not trying to do Miscellaneous Brown again when I go back in March. I'm trying to do something else.
Gotta give them something
new.
new.
You gotta do something new.
And the reason I say it's different is because, like, if I go to, like, a Beyonce concert, like, sure, you can sing the new album, but she could also sing songs from every other album and not touch anything new, and I'd be like, oh my God, that was the best concert of my life.
Right.
You got
what I mean?
bangers to choose from.
Yeah.
Right. And you do got bangers to choose from.
My phone's about to die. Bye, y'all. I don't owe
Do you need a cord? Do you need a charger?
Yeah.
I think see if there's a input for you.
Hold
right
on,
there.
let's.
We'll do that.
Yeah,
It's all good.
we'll wrap
But I got
this
you.
up. So because we're coming up on time right now.
Okay.
But is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to, or anyone you want to say what? Even like if it's your your
And
dog. Or
before we
whatever?
come up on time, I want to say, Kalea, you know that the door at the Canna Kuyas podcast is
I'm not
always open for
not
you.
leaving.
I
Yeah,
know
you
you're
gotta-
not leaving. You're coming. Just so you know, stay tuned to the Canna Kuyas podcast because Kalea's a recurring guest.
Yeah.
She's gonna be on all the time.
And Eric's phone will be on. Actually, his phone's going to be in the next
This
room.
man. And you know what? Okay, I made a mistake. Can we let go?
No.
Let go. Let
Or
it go.
Meredith's husband?
Okay, we gotta tell the story of that. And you know what? If we go longer, it doesn't matter because it's Kalea.
It'll be really quick.
We'll be quick. Okay. So, my wife, she works for a bank, and she because they had this like convention kind of weekendy thing during the pandemic, and it was online, and they were looking for comedians to perform online. And I was like, and they were paying, so I'm like, yo, let me shout out to my girl Kalea and see if she and didn't you do that show? Were you on that show too?
Which one was it?
It was the corporate. Yeah, you were the second comer. It was me, you, and Kalea.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But you weren't there when we first signed on, because Kalea and I were there when we first signed on. And the lady who hired us, she was a co-worker of my wife. And the first thing she said when my video came on is, "You're Meredith's husband?" Just like that. And Kalea just laughed. Just, wah!
This woman was not impressed.
How the hell and why the hell did my boss get linked up with this ragamuffin?
But shout out to Rollo the Dog McNeill. Shout out to Smam, my comedy special. Shout out to Comedy Central Presents. Shout out to me being a new ate.
Marijuana ate.
Ate.
Shout out to Laugh After Dark too,
Laugh
because
After Dark,
I mean,
for sure. And yeah, follow me at whatever Kalea on all platforms. Kalea Funny on IG. KaleaMcNeill.com for all dates. Join the mailing list. Tell me to come to your city. I'll be there. Follow me. Swallow me.
Love it. I like that. That's nice.
Thank you so much, Kalea.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kalea McNeill. Go watch Spam.
Can't help himself.
Get you a can.
Nobody has literally ever said that.
Get you a can of Spam and watch you Smam on Amazon Prime.
Like so good.
I hope we have an episode.
Fuck a Folgers. Little bitch, I made the beat and dropped the full verse. I just hit a steal, I got dripped up. Package born and raised, bitch, I got dripped up. Y no se compara. Yo estoy con mi pana, se llama Trega, fumando ganja. Estamos con Cali, fumando en Cali, yo sé que traen ganas. Ella me dice, papi, que terminamos la cama. Highest in the room, yeah, we get fucked up. You can count on Trey Cap, bring the loud pack. Get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home run.
Yeah, we got hits like Tatis and Machado. Man, we know you're not a leader, cause all our moves you just follow, packing big bowls. You know we just scooped up that gelato, cause I smoke killer. My shirt iller, yo, ask our dealer, we the highest in the room. Just look up once and you can find us. Our song should have more plays, but we too though, they rewind us. All my talk is lined up, every day my girl get fined up. All my clothes is local, bitch, I rarely rock designer,